let's get into the idea of benchmarking. What's the task we're trying to do? Feel free to type anything. If I see something come up, I'll put on my trusty glasses and I'll have a look at what you wrote. But benchmarking, of just the top of my head, really what you want to do, understand where you belong in the job market, understand where your fit might be, right? Okay, so, and then following that, having a target list and learning how to target yourself, how to find your fit in the job market, because we all have a set of skills over time, right? We're dealing with the people here so far have a lot of experience. So for now, the audience that I'm speaking to has many, at least more than a decade, in some cases more than 2 decades of experience. So what we're looking at is finding the best fit from your background into the existing demand. That makes sense, right? Okay, well, what's the starting point? Should I just start right away by searching through the job adverts? What I would say the starting point really must be is to understand your core skills, your core strengths, and just write them down, put them in front of you, because we often don't look at that. Often, we don't really consider what our core strengths are, but it's so important to know what that is, because that's where you're going to make the most money. That's where you're going to have the most opportunity to show your strengths on the first day and month and year of your first job. If you're in your core strengths, you're not learning so much. You're applying your knowledge. You're not learning new things too much. And it's already so many new things to come in. So the core strengths, I've had a look at some of the core strengths of what you've got so far. And I see experience with equipment. I mean, there is a Boilermaker here, someone who knows how to work with a lot of different equipment, hands-on, work with a lot of people, train people, and maintenance management as well, production management. It all fits together into the same area, doesn't it? When you get really good at working on equipment, you get good at training. When you get good at training, you get good at management. When you're managing, you're speaking to the production manager, you're speaking to the maintenance manager, and then you become the maintenance manager. These are the kind of progressions that you see over time, high level of competence. So just get it down on paper, and that's sort of like the first step. Then the other thing is the other person. So there's a rigger and an equipment inspector here, also with a couple of decades, more than a couple of decades of experience. So it's a similar sort of thing, a lot of different equipment, and it's a niche market. It's narrow, but every port needs it. All these lifting equipment needs it. So there's a high regulation around anything that can cause harm. So these people are needed. The key is to find the entry point, someone who can do those inspections on lots of different equipment, train other people, also manage people, also client interface. In other words, getting in front of clients. These are core strengths, right? Doesn't mean your starting point will always be a management role. It can be, especially now with the demand so crazy, but it might not be. The best starting point might be, even if you have the opportunity of management, sometimes the best opportunity to start is not in a management role, so you can learn all the things how they do, and then jump into a management role if the company's growing. So this is an opportunity. We also have a business analyst here, and it's the same sort of thing. There's a lot of experience in the background. Understanding the core skills is important to know where your placement is. What value have you offered to the end client with the business analysis, the reporting? What sort of things decisions have been allowed by that? And how efficient have things been made? Measuring efficiency is important. Measuring how, like reducing the full-time equivalence of other people, enhancing these sorts of decisions, maybe even making new products if the company is selling these reports. So the business analysts have core strengths that should come out in projects, usually challenging projects. And this goes for everyone. if you have a challenging project, you might just do this exercise really quickly. Understand core strengths. Think back to a time when you were extremely challenged in your life and you grew at that moment. How did you grow? What was that about? And you're different now. You're a higher level professional because of those challenges. That's a moment in your life where you jumped up. So these sort of things where you deliver value, where you overcame challenge, where you got a new role, where you have done new sorts of responsibilities in your same role. These are kind of things to look at. So the core strengths, I'm just going to pretend like we all know what I'm talking about. We know what core strengths are. Let's go on, right? So let's have a look at the job market and see where the fit might be. I'll just use an example. So this is just going to be an example, but everyone can pay attention to this from the point of view of how they would look. So I'm going to use Boilermaker here. So we've got someone who's a title of Boilermaker. And the other version of Boilermaker is someone who, this person can be just doing welding, or can be doing fabricating complex things, or can be managing, can be maintenance manager. There's all sorts of things that this title could be, but we're just going to look at the title and hit go. Now, why am I at Seek? Okay, Seek, I think this is the first thing that you're going to find useful, besides maybe, I guess for step one, understand your core strengths, where you can apply yourself. Step two, we're going to start the searching process. So in New Zealand and Australia, Seek is the #1 place. For New Zealand, it's seek.co.nz, and for Australia, it's seek.com.au, but it's the same company. And they just established themselves in a high place. They bill for each time you see an advert, you're looking at $200 to $300, sometimes $400 per advert, per advertisement. So between 2 and 4, let's say. And if someone buys bulk, like hundreds of job advertisements at once, it might be below 2, but it's still a lot of money. In other words, they're serious and it's live. So every job advertisement you see on Seek is expensive, and it's live, because Seek closes them down automatically in a month, and the company will close them down if they already have what they're looking for and they don't want any more. So it's live. There's no playing around with Seek. It's not free. There's a lot of free sites out there that will have these old job advertisements, fictitious, but Seek doesn't allow that, because they'll be in trouble if they have fictitious, and plus they don't want to lose their client base. That's us. We're their client base. I mean, really, if we don't use them, they can't make that money. Okay, so Seek is where I would suggest to go. It doesn't mean it's the only place. Go anywhere. But if you want to benchmark and you want your time not to be wasted, go to Seek, because the chances of getting a real job there is going to be nearly 100%. It's really active job right now if it's on Seek. Okay, and that's not the case for many of those. Seek and TradeMe are good. Seek is #1 for the higher level type people. Okay, that's sort of how I group it. Okay, we're going to enter Boilermaker here and push go. All right, now let's see, how many jobs do we have? Let's see what that title will bring up. 529 jobs. Okay, so let's have a look through here. Let's see, we need to keep in mind something before we start. We're going to pretend like, this immigration is opening up now, and INZ has said that, I'll send you the link if you want, that $84,000 is the median age, 1.5. So the median salary for New Zealand times 1.5, that's 84,000. And this is where it's opening in the first instance. So in March, it's going to be opening for the people that can get $84,000. I'll give you the link to that. I'll send it just right here by the chat so I don't forget. So there's the link. All right. So you can just take that link down. Once we close, that link will disappear. So you can take that link down. What it says is that, 84,000 and something is what we're opening up with. And then in October, it will open to everyone. So how I read it, please read it yourself because I'm not allowed to give immigration advice. How I read it is 84 is opening in March, right? So we're gonna go to this here. We're gonna go to 80, and then we're gonna cap it off at the top end at 120. I'm just gonna cap it off at the top end at 120. I want to find a sort of a sweet spot of an area to look at. So this is this. Now we've done a keyword search for Boilermaker. We had 500, I think it was 500 and something. Now we've got 117. So we've reduced it. What we've done is we've gotten rid of a lot of welders who only do welding. We've gotten rid of all of them. So we're at the area of between. It says here starting at 80 and the top is 120. You can't see it, it's a little bit grayed out, but it says from 80 to 120. You see that? I don't know why it's not the same color, but that's how it is. Okay, so now we're looking at more real jobs that are going to get you in March. Okay, and you can do the same thing. That doesn't mean you're stuck if you don't get 84. It means you have to wait beyond March. That's how I read the link that I gave you. If I'm wrong, excuse me. I'm not an immigration agent, but I just work with this kind of thing all the time, and I'm not allowed to give you advice. So that's the other thing. All right. So now we see here some information that we can start looking through. The other thing we'll do is let's pretend we should ignore Auckland because the points change, right? The points that change for Auckland. So let's pretend we're going to ignore Auckland. And let's go to other. So here's Taranaki. Let's just right click there. Here's Auckland. Auckland has the majority here. Here's another one, Tauranga fitter welder. And for some reason it's in there. Fabricator join. Tech trade recruitment. Oh, that's a recruiter. Recruiters are not the thing to benchmark for the beginning because they're intermediate companies. You can just treat them differently. Recruiters they're not so easy to, they're easy to communicate with. They're middlemen. Does that make sense? Recruiters are middlemen. So recruiters are not going to give you the real stuff. If you talk to a recruiter, he's going to give you some promises. But if you talk to an employer, they're going to tell you the straight stuff right away. So it's much easier to deal with employers. And also, recruiters will sometimes put an advert out when they don't have a specific job. They'll put an advert out saying there are jobs available. Well, we all know there are jobs available, but they make this statement because they want to collect CVs, right? So just treat them differently. This is tech trade recruitment. We're just going to ignore that one and go to fabricator installer. Let's just have a look at some of these. So here we've got pipe fitter welder, Taranaki, from 50 to 55. Okay, here's another thing. So now we've stumbled onto another issue with benchmarking. When you see the hourly rate, there's a very strong chance it's a contract job. We don't want that. Let's just, because we're benchmarking, we're not going to spend our time unwisely. We're going to be wise about it. We're not going to waste our time on that. And this one is fitter welder, Bay of Plenty, full-time, no price there. So what I like to do with benchmarking is get down to this area of requirements to be successful, trade certified fitter welder. So right away, we're looking at Boilermaker versus fitter welder. It's possible to be trade certified Boilermaker. In this case, we're using the example of Boilermaker. So do I cross it off because they say trade certified fitter welder? Not right away. Although it's the first bullet point, our successful applicant will. Bullet point number 1, it means read it very carefully, right? This is organized in a way that These guys paid hundreds of dollars for this. They're not just throwing something up and quickly running away. They want someone, they're ready to pay for someone, they're going to spend time on the advert. This is C, right? So these are the required skills. These are what they're looking for. I see that. So this is really good advertisement because they drill right into substance. I like that point of that style. So if the Boilermaker sees, if the person looking, let's pretend I'm the Boilermaker, if I'm looking and I see, oh yeah, I've done this before, I've also done that before, I've also done this before, and that's easy, and I'm not a fitter welder, but I'm a Boilermaker, I'm also qualified there, and I've got a lot of experience in doing things that are related to fitting. So in this case, I'll leave it because I've got a firm argument, not argument, but I've got a position that makes sense to an employer potentially. So I sort of like that. So this might be a good example of someone that I'd want to contact. I'll just assume, right? There might be something there that doesn't work for the real Boilermaker, but for me, see, here's the interesting thing. It's trades and services, welders and Boilermakers. So it's sort of in that zone. It looks like I copied two there. Okay, so this job pool might be, let's try to find a specific company and do some fabrication engineer. Here's a company in New Plymouth, and that's not in Auckland, which is good. They're paying that same amount, which is good. They've got 5 years of experience minimum. Our Boilermakers got much more. Relevant trade qualifications, yes, it's relevant. Stainless steel, aluminum, let's assume yes. Expert knowledge of yes. Ability to read design and technical engineering, yes. Ability to draw, yes. So examples of hearing about examples of repairing plants. So this is pretty good. They're asking for examples about this. That's pretty good. Here's some of the here's the regions of Auckland that you need to, I'm going to skip around a little bit because I should have probably sent this earlier. Here's the regions of Auckland that are, when you see this, you're seeing Auckland. So if you see that in there, you're seeing Auckland. I know some of the older guys like me, if we're coming in, we need to avoid Auckland. And what we're looking for here is core strengths. Let's say you find your core strengths and you get a sense of, you have a job fit and you get a sense of the salary and anything else that's important to you. You might have family in a certain area of New Zealand, or your wife may prefer to live in a certain area of New Zealand. So you go there and you see, yes, there's plenty of people there's plenty of employers that could use my skills in that area. And I would like to investigate that area more. Oh, let's have a look at this. How do we get salary from here? It doesn't mention salary. This is Teagle, fabrication welder, New Plymouth. New Plymouth is not Auckland. It's a nice area. Well, they're all nice areas, right? It's got a lot of requirements there. It's an FMCG, and it's exactly what this Boilermaker likes, along with a lot of others. But now the Boilermaker would get a better idea. What's the salary here? If you really want to know what the salary is, here's a trick that you can do, because I mean, you're always going to see the place, almost always. They're going to have the city there. They're always going to have the requirements. They have to have that. You won't see all the time the person, but there's a way to get to that. I mean, what they're suggesting is just send the advert forward. If you want this, what we could do is go to Teagle or fabrication engineer, go to here. This is a little trick that not many people know. I'm going to find the salary. I'm going to get close to the salary of this place. Fabrication engineer. There we go. All right, here we go. Oh, what happened? Lost it. It's still. There we go. I've got a slow internet. So here's Teagle. Now, all we have to do to find the salary, let's push this up. Let's hope that it's between 100 and 120. No, it's not. Okay, they're starting out between 80 and 100 then. So what I've done is I've just moved the beginning and the end down to different spots. The first time I checked between the 100 and 120, and it wasn't there, unfortunately. But now I've checked the area between 80 and 100. So they're paying between 80 and 100 for that role. And that wasn't visible from their text. It was visible because you found the company, you did a keyword search that would limit the search so that you can easily play around and see the result set. So this is the result set. And I've just moved it from 100 to 120. It disappeared. So I knew it must be between 80 and 100, and it was. So there it's there. That's what they're paying. So if you need to find specifically what they're looking at a company, that's one way to do it. But 80 and 120 is a big area to go for. So that's really the starting point of benchmarking. If you have any questions, let me know. Here's what I would do with benchmarking as if I was coming in and I'm a foreigner. I would understand that firstly, I have confidence that there's a demand for me. That's personally what I would do. And that's what I help other people understand as well. I don't want anyone's business, for example, if they're going to work with me, I wouldn't want it just to get business and not do anything. I mean, I'm about making it happen, right? So someone comes in and they see a strong demand or a niche demand. It doesn't matter. It can be a niche demand, but it should be a demand that's existing. And with niche demand, it's a little bit different than a heavy, wide traffic of demand. If you see a highway of demand with a lot of different companies looking for things, then you have a lot of opportunities to go for. If you see a niche demand, what it means is you just need to be one of the best in your trade. And from what I've seen in the case of the rigger here, definitely niche demand is not going to be a problem. You've got that. So I think that's going to be an attractive place to look at. And for the Boilermaker here, that's that's really, I mean, you're all over. The Boilermaker is a heavy traffic place. But what that Boilermaker who's here needs to focus on is that area that's really in the skill set of what this person has, which is quite wide. Yeah, you can do fabrication, but there's so much there paying $20 an hour, which here it doesn't, you're not going to get in, firstly. Secondly, you're not going to raise a family. You're going to get this other area, which includes that higher level of skill sets, the maintenance engineering, the training, the management, the reporting, that sort of production side, anything in those areas. Not all, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying any of those areas you're going to do well. And there's a lot to go for there. And for the business analyst, I guess it's really just about understanding where your core strengths are and having a look at those companies that indicate those core strengths are needed. And there's definitely business analysts out there. The challenge, of course, as always, is the first job. So you want to, when you're coming in, you want to be open, try a lot of different levels. You might say, okay, here's my level at home in my home country. I'm going to benchmark myself for the same level there in New Zealand, But I'm not going to only look there. I'm going to look down and I'm going to look up and I'm going to see what's in the zone. I mean, what are those things that I haven't done so much, but there's also a demand. And then how about those things I know really well? What is the demand like that? That's like easy for me now. Like for the Boilermaker, it would be like, you know, welding, fabricating some simple things like, oh, well, that's really easy, but I'd like to see what that's like. And what do they pay? Let me have a sense of that. And is there any room in that company to grow? And if I communicate with the hiring manager about this role, you know, what opportunities are there for growth? Maybe training other people coming in. I can tell you a story just since we're on the topic of demand, and since we're on the topic of Boilermaker, everyone is looking for welder fabricators. It's incredible. We saw the numbers there. For the keyword Boilermaker, there was 500. If I use the keyword welder fabricator, it's going to be much more. I'm sure of it. I haven't done it recently, but everyone's looking for that. And they're even not advertising anymore. Because why? There's no one out there. There's no one to get. I mean, imagine that. You advertise and you get responses from people who aren't in the advertisement. You know, so that's part of a problem. But what I would do is first feel comfortable that yes, there is a demand. Second, feel comfortable that this demand can get me into New Zealand. Today, that's 84,000. If you read my link, I believe that's what it will say. I'm not giving you advice that that's how it is for you. Just have a look at that link and understand where your immigration requirements fit into that. Is that you or not? If it is, you can come in March. That's how I read this. So government, they're making this statement now for a few times. I think hopefully they're serious this time. And this will be a channel to come in. It's a lot of money. It's a good salary. So, but there's no one here to hire. So I think this is a deliberate attempt by the government to start at some place where we really need people, rather than just open the floodgates to everyone and get huge traffic. It can be a little bit hard for businesses to manage. They start at the critical points, which is the higher value things. But they still need a lot of general tradesmen. They still need that. It's just going to open up later. So they're going to look for the higher level people. And the other thing I would do is look for how to best get yourself into the job market. And here's the thing that's really amazing. No one seems to address this issue, but it's a fact. And everyone knows that it's a fact. So when you're looking for work, the chances are the average response rate that people will get is about 2 or 3%. In other words, if you apply 100 times to different jobs, you're going to have a response rate of about 2 or 3, maybe 4 per 100. And of course, there's form letters as well, right? There's probably 50% or 80% would be form letters. Just letters that are sent to everyone. So here's what happens. The process is important to know, because this is what's happening when you send your CV in. The first thing you do is you meet with someone who's filtering the CVs in order to find a short list. Task number 1, get a short list. We've got a job advertisement out there. I'm speaking like a hiring manager or like a company. We've got a job advert out there. We're getting some CVs. Task number 1, get a short list. So how is this short list made? Well, if there's 100 CVs coming in, I'll just use 100 as an example because it's statistical, you know, as a percent, but it can be more, it can be less. It depends on if this is a narrow, like a CEO won't have 100, but a fabricator welder, it's going to have 500. There's people that aren't really fabricator welders, but anyway, the business has a lot of spam CVs. So what they need to do is to move through quickly and get from this 100 down to 3 or 4 shortlisted people to look at closely. They're not going to look at 100 closely. They won't. There's no way. That just won't happen. So they'll look at 3 or 4 closely. So what do they do with this 90, 96, 95, 90, 93, 98? What do they do with them? Well, they get form letters. They're not looked at. They get form letters. They're looked at on an average of 7 seconds per CV. And this is easy to find. You can find it yourself. Just do a keyword search. Seconds of time for human resources or recruiters or talent acquisition people to get a short list. Yeah, find some way to say that. Time to vet CVs from human resources. You'll find that it's 6, 8, 10, 5. You'll find these different estimates. It's always seconds. It's always seconds. Why? Because a lot of it's spam and it doesn't take long. You say, oh, well, this doesn't fit. This doesn't fit. They get good at it. Their eyes just train and quickly look because they're doing this, all the time. They're looking at maybe 1,000 CVs per month, per week or per month. Let's say per month. 1,000 CVs is a lot. It's probably too much per week, but per month, it's definitely possible to have 1,000 CVs looking per month. So imagine the state of mind of this person who's looking at 1,000 CVs. So what I help my clients do is you have to be very relevant. You have to use, the kind of, just put yourself in that position of what you need to do to make yourself communicate that. Stand out with things of value that they need to know about you in order to consider you. The other thing is the next step. Once the shortlist is there, who's going to go to the meeting? The meeting is the goal. Who's going to go to the meeting? You got the shortlist. Who's going to go to the meeting? It's the next step. So this is a different person. The same person who's doing 1,000 per month is not going to decide who goes to the meeting. Generally, it's a higher level person because this person is going to actually do the hiring. They don't want to just have anyone come to the meeting. They're going to decide who's there. Okay, we've got 5 on the short list. I've eliminated 2. I got 3. Are you sure there's no more? There's a little bit of communication there between the 2. No, there's no more. I've got no one. We're going to have to put a new advert if it's not that. Or, yeah, well, here's another group of CVs that could be considered. I just haven't really, I just put them aside. So I'm not really sure yet. There's a little dialogue there. And then what they do is they decide who. Now these are not going to get the form letter responses usually. They might, but they might get a personalized response as well. The person's looking through, sees some value, and then they'll say something, yes or no, or whatever. But this is a 2 or 3% response rate is not helping you make progress. So what I've developed is a system that gets 80% response rates on average. If my process is followed, it will generate that. It does repeatedly. So 80%, now you have something to work with. So the 80%, what it does is you do the benchmarking, you see you've got your fit there. You want those guys to respond to you in order for you to be considered for the shortlist because the meeting is your goal. So there's a lot of ways to look at this that other people aren't looking at it. If you're taking this seriously, it's about the family, it's about the future, it's about the children, it's about the security, the calm life, the work-life balance, nature, that sort of thing. That's what New Zealand is about. So it's a big picture thing. It's a very important thing. I have a system that accomplishes that. And this is your job finding filter. It's made for you. And here's what the employers have. They have this kind of a filter. You drop in 100, you get 3 out, but that works for them. It doesn't work for us. This works for us. Give me a flow of communication where I get feedback and I learn my market as I'm engaging my market, and I learn where the hot points are with my needs and where the biggest salary is and where the biggest hiring regions are, and outside of Auckland, or if Auckland's included, great. You can go and park in Auckland and interview 3 times a week for the rest of the year. And you'll meet different companies most of those times as well. 97% of those meetings will be new companies. There's so much opportunity in Auckland. That's why they don't want people in Auckland. They want to shrink the city, I guess. So anyway, that's a little bit about me and a little bit about the process as well. Yeah, okay, so happy to meet with, so once again, question about benchmarking, question about the process, what happens next, email if you want. I'm happy to go one-on-one with meeting. I'll set that up with you. Anton, you sent it to everyone, so yeah, don't mind saying that out loud because it's just visible here. Otherwise, that'd be confidential. But yeah, we'll do that right after this. And if there's no more questions, yeah, it's been good to go through this. And I wish you well. And if there's some way I can help you, let me know. All the best. Ciao.